Hello friends, I'm Jeanette with Vivo Vintage Designs. Welcome to today's video. Before we get started, I'll remind you that all the products used will be listed in the description box just below the video. And if you have any questions regarding any of the techniques you see me use, drop it in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Also, please don't forget to like, comment, or consider subscribing. Your interaction with my channel is very helpful and I really appreciate it. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how I created these little water drops using alcohol ink. So I'm working on Kirkland photo paper. I have my dry palette with me, and I have the alcohol ink blending pen. I have a white gel pen, and I have a micron pen, size 005 or 0.20, and I also have a couple of small paint brushes and of course alcohol. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a background, and as soon as I can find my color. All right, I'm using Baja Blue by Pinata. So I'm just going to pour some ink on my paper and throw a little alcohol on there. And I'm going to use a brush to move that ink around. Of course, you can use any colors you like. So I'm just making sure that my entire sheet of paper is covered, and I like the texture in the background that the brush makes, so I'm going to continue to brush the paper until the ink starts to dry and I am left with brush marks. If you just let it dry naturally, it'll smooth out and you won't get the lines, which is fine, but like I said, I prefer the lines in the background. I like texture. So as the alcohol evaporates, you'll be left with these lines on the background, and you'll feel that the ink starts to get kind of sticky as you run your brush through it. Okay, I'll leave it like that. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I have a large brush here. I'm going to put some alcohol on the brush, and then I'm going to use my fingertip to splatter the paper a little bit like that. And I really would have preferred some larger splatters, but let's see, maybe a little tapping. Okay, that works. All right, so I want to make sure that this is dry before I start painting the drops on it. So I'm just going to use my dryer. And if you would like to add in areas more drops, you can just use the tip of your brush, or you can do it later on. You'll see what I mean. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the tip of this brush, and it's a small brush. I wish I could read it, but it's so faded that I can't see it. Anyway, I'm going to go into my dry palette and I'm going to pick up some black. And I want to make sure that I don't have too much alcohol on the paper, on the brush. So I am going to blot it on my paper towel before I put it to the paper. And you can either create an area where you want to drop, or you can find where you have one already and use the tip of the brush and then the body to create a shadow. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to play with it some and it'll be better in a minute. So while you have the black on the brush, you might as well create a shadow for a few of them. So you can see I'm narrowing it at the edges and making it thicker towards the middle. So I will do this for a few of them. Let's do this big one here. Don't worry about it being perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to play with it and make it better. So, all right. Now I'm going to show you how you can create a dot of water in an area where you don't have one, where you didn't get any splatter. I'm using this, who's this by? I think it's Ranger. This alcohol ink blending pen, and you can just take the paintbrush, do your outline. I want to do a big one here, rather your shadow. Let me put a little bit more alcohol on here. Do your shadow. And then use the blending pen to clean out some of the ink from the background. I don't know why I can never make a good circle. Okay, so now what the other areas where you created the shadows, what you need to do is the bottom of the water drop needs to be lighter than the top. So you can use the alcohol blending pen, or you can use a micron pen, oh my goodness, a micro brush, or you can even use a paintbrush to remove some of the ink. So I happen to have the pen, so I'm going to use that, and I'm going to clean up my circle or my drop of water. And I'll show you how you can use a micro brush. Just put a little alcohol on the tip, dab it off a little bit, and then just clean out that area and clean up your shadow as well. Make sure you dab it off to get the ink off, otherwise you're just moving the ink around. So this takes a little practice. That's why I did a whole sheet of it. Okay, and I'll show you how you can do it with a paintbrush. Let me find a small one. Okay, here's a small one. Put a little alcohol on your brush and then use the tip of it to shape your drop and remove the ink from the bottom part of it. Just make sure that you clean your brush off on your paper towel again, otherwise you're just moving the ink, and you want to remove it, not just move it around. So let's do up here as well. I'm going to try and stick with the paintbrush because I know not everyone has one of those blending pens, but I think most of you have a paintbrush. Okay, so you can see how I'm lifting the color from the bottom of the drop. And this one down here needs to be a little bit bigger because my shadow is bigger. Okay, I'm not going to fiddle with it too much. All right, so now the next thing you want to do is you want the top of the drop to be darker. So I'm going to go back into, I'm going to wet my brush, and I'm going to go back into a blue, a darker blue on my dry palette, and I'm going to pick up some ink, and I'm going to just dab it around the top and continue dabbing it so I can kind of blend it in a little bit. And I'm going to do that for all my little drops. Just make the top a little bit darker. I'm going to clean off my brush, make sure that I don't have very much alcohol on it. So you can see I'm wiping it down, and then I'm just going to tap this so it kind of blends, softens those edges a little bit. But you have to make sure that your brush is really dry. Otherwise, you'll remove the ink instead of soften it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just want to soften it a little bit. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to take the Micron pen, because you want a hard edge, and I am going to outline my drop of water. I prefer to use a small tip, but you can use whatever you like. So I'm just outlining all my little drops around the top. And you can also use the pen to soften some of these edges where you to blend them in so that you don't have a thick edge to it. And then this is where you take your gel pen and you put a couple of little lines on the top to create a reflection. And create your water droplets. Okay, well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you give this a try. If you do, I would love to see how you do. So please drop your picture in my on my Facebook page, Vivo Vintage Designs, in the comments section below the picture of this, or rather below the video. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.